I think the universe is very giving. And I've yet to experience in my 36 years a man or a woman who genuinely tries their very best and genuinely dedicates themselves to something and is genuinely motivated to make sure they're the best version of themselves, who doesn't get what they want.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never seen someone go, I spend all of my time doing what I'm supposed to do. I do not waste any of my time. I dedicate myself. I'm good to people. I'm honest. I'm hardworking. I'm there on time every time I've got a meeting. I've got a firm handshake. I don't snake anybody. God likes me. I work hard. I'm not an evil person, and I work really, really hard. Who doesn't have everything they want? So everyone can have anything they want. I really believe the universe will give anyone anything they want if they actually fucking want it.
You want to feel happy inside of yourself, and you want to feel content, and you want to feel stable inside of yourself. You need to live true to God. And I'm not saying you can't drink a little bit of alcohol or not party or not have a little bit of fun, but you have to be a good person.
You have to balance life.
You have to balance life. You have to be a good person overall. I know I'm a good person, and when the Matrix is trying to convince the world that I'm not, that just proves even further that I'm a good person. I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy. It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human, and that's life. And so am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then, that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that.
Very well put. No, but you're right. Definitely, I've heard like the chase for happiness, and the more you try to seek happiness, the more you enforce in yourself that you're not happy.
Well, also, there's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain.
Exactly.
And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. As long as I am alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I have things to do.
You're too busy to think about that.
I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks.
Right.
And when I speak to men, they say I'm unhappy or I need to be happier. I think that's absolutely the wrong frame of life. You're a man, you have duty, you have honor, you have things you should be doing regardless of how you feel. And the people who are perma-obsessed with happiness or sadness. I just think it's the wrong paradigm to view the lens of life. I think you should get up and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, man. You're a positive influence, man. I don't know what's all the stuff, man. You're just reinforcing positivity in people.
I'm absolutely a positive influence, and that's the problem. The key word there is influence. The reason the Matrix has attacked me is because of that. It's because I am an influence.
Yeah.
And when
they don't like influence.
They don't like influence because I've not sold my soul. They don't control me.
But I think a lot of people have that.
Of course. But the people who are miserable are the people who don't try hard enough to obtain it, because I actually believe, and this is another thing I'll say, I believe the universe is very giving. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100%, doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it. Every single person who doesn't have what they want, there's something in their story that doesn't quite add up. I've yet to see some guy who, have you ever seen a guy who eats right, trains his ass off, and never misses a gym session, ever not grow? Ever.
Not what? Not what?
Grow.
Not grow. Not make
ever.
gains.
And that's what I believe. I believe the universe is extremely giving. So when I meet somebody and they go, I really wanted this and I don't have it, I say, you didn't really want it. You're a liar. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck, and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that's your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that could possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary, because I will never stay a loser. It is against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole message of Strike It Big and what we try and put across to the younger generation.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. And this is the thing about society and MSM and all this garbage and the Matrix. They try and convince you, don't worry if you're being a loser, because people feel sorry for you and you'll get attention for it and you'll be okay in the end. And it's all this temporary fixes of dopamine by saying, I'm sad. Don't worry, bro. You'll be okay. But it's bullshit. They don't care long term. The world doesn't care. Nobody really cares. Chicks don't care. Business doesn't care. You are going to fail. The fact that you will sit there and self-analyze yourself to determine how happy you are out of a score of 100 is already a mental failure. That's a failure. You should be busy. You shouldn't cross your mind. The fact you have time to sit there and go, how happy am I today? Oh, I'm only this much. Maybe I should be happier. That's already a mess up. The second thing is, and this is the truth, most of you, in fact, the large majority of you, don't deserve to be happy.
Why?
Because they haven't done the work it requires to be happy. Yeah. You're not a man of genuine excellence in every human metric. You don't deserve to be happy. You're sitting at your computer with your Bored Ape and your NFTs and $4 million, but you're fat and you're boring and you stink. And you expect yourself to be happy. You don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve it. You haven't worked for it. Beauty lies on top of the mountain, my friends. You have to climb it. You have to get all the way up there to see the peak and its amazing view. Let me tell you something. I'm happy because all I've done is suffer. That's all I've ever done is suffer. This is how I got here. Suffer. My life's been nothing but suffering and trauma. That's how I got here. That's why my worldview is so brilliant. That's how I can wake up, and as long as no one has a gun to my head, I am happy because I have suffered. You, ladies and gentlemen, haven't suffered enough. And if you haven't suffered, you're never going to be happy. Happiness lies atop a mountain. If it's just laying all over the floor and anyone can pick it up, it has no value. People's entire mental model is skewed. You're a crypto guy, right? You believe in NFTs. NFTs, the whole point of them is that there's one. It's the scarcity that provides the value. If things are not scarce, there's no value to it.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's financial. It doesn't matter if it's even a good body, right? The fact that a guy has big arms, the reason that has value is because it's rare. If every dude naturally had big arms by default, it wouldn't have a value. So you're talking about happiness as if it should just be laid all over the floor. If everyone could pick up happiness without trying, you still wouldn't be happy because it wouldn't have value, and you'd be aiming for you'd be looking for a new attention of happiness. You'd be looking for something else. You just raise the paradigm.
They don't care about us. Listen to the song. They don't care about you. The fact that we're going to sit here and say to you, after this stream, you need to drop and do some push-ups if you're half a man. Every single 300,000 of you. Do push-ups when this is over. Wake up tomorrow stronger than you were today. Because we tell you to do that. Because we make you a better version of yourself so that you can help everybody around you and become a better man.
What's the worst advice you ever remember receiving?
Follow your passion. Bollocks. Biggest crock of shit. If you're only going to do things you're passionate about and do things you want to do instead of getting up and struggling doing things you're supposed to do because you have a duty to God and to yourself, you are going to be a loser forever.
Life is depressing. I say this to people. I'm depressed. I'm like, well, life's depressing. You're getting older. You're going to die. You know, there's a whole bunch of people with a bunch more money than you. Welcome to the fucking real world. Life's depressing. Are you a bitch? You're going to cry about it or you're going to do something about it? Like, life is depressing. Who told us
Tell me where it says in the human handbook that we're supposed to be happy all of the time.
Right,
We're not
exactly.
supposed to be happy. We're supposed to survive. Now, if you're a man, you can survive even if you're miserable. I say this all the time. Give me depression. You wouldn't even notice. This is what pisses them off because they're like, oh yeah, you wouldn't be able to function. I guarantee I can still drive my Lambo and fuck women. I guarantee you.
Right.
Try it. Because I refuse to be such a baby that I'm gonna sit there and go, well, I feel a certain way, so I have to act a certain way. No, one of the number one tenets of masculinity, in fact, it's probably the primary tenet of masculinity, is acting different to how you feel. This is the primary tenet of masculinity. Do you think the men on the Titanic felt like dying? No, but they acted a certain way because they were men. The women and the children are afraid and they're gonna run. I'm afraid and I'm gonna stay here because I'm a man. As a man, you have to control your emotions. So I don't give a shit if you're depressed. There's no excuse to not be an adult and make sensible decisions based on discipline alone. I'm too depressed to train. No, you lack discipline. Because I've felt miserable, every single person has. I didn't miss a gym session, ever. So I don't believe in that crap. I don't believe in it. And I don't believe in it because I know that the true cure to fixing people is to tell them, here's the example I gave when this whole thing blew up. I said, if I moved into a house and I heard squeaks in the night and I don't believe in ghosts, I'm gonna attribute it to the wind and go back to sleep. If I move into the same house and hear the same squeaks, but I'm a big believer in ghosts, I'm gonna start being scared, I'm gonna call an exorcist, I'm gonna say it's a ghost. So my point is, the same situation gets worse based primarily on my beliefs. If you don't believe in depression, you can't be depressed.